Hi, Strong Mom Society. So wrist pain is a common complaint for a lot of my clients, mostly in those early stages of postpartum. So I'm going to give you a workout today that combines some moves and some stretches and a little bit of massage to help you relieve some of that pain and discomfort that we feel in our wrists. You are going to need a tennis ball for this workout. If you don't have a tennis ball, this could be a squishy small children's ball. It could be an actual massage ball, whatever you have on hand. And I want you to just put that off to the side to start. The first thing that we're going to do is some tapping and swiping to get the fascia and the arms really warmed up and ready to receive this work. So the first step is to practice your diaphragmatic breathing. I want you to bring your hands to the sides of your ribs, close your eyes, take a nice big breath in, and as you breathe in, I want you to feel your arms or your hands expand out to the sides of the room. And then as you exhale, think of closing the front of the rib, maybe even soften through the breastbone a little. I'm trying to get you back into that parasympathetic nervous system of rest and recovery so we can turn off that heightened sense of that fight or flight response. So we're just gonna breathe in, feel the ribs, lower bellies, and ribs move out to the sides of the room, and then exhale. Ribs close. Don't worry about your posture. Maybe you soften a little bit through the breastbone here. You can drop your head slightly. Take that one more time. Nice big breath in. Feel the ribs expand, pelvic floor relaxes, belly releases, and then exhale, closing the front of those ribs together. Now what you're gonna do is start some tapping. So I want you to start on your right arm and up here by your neck into your trap, shoulder, and just tap all the way down the arm into the wrist, the fingertips, all the sides, front, back, sides of the arm. And you're just warming up the fascia here. That fascia is that connective tissue that runs on top of the muscle, and our body is covered in it from head to toe. So after you do a few of these taps from the top of the arm all the way down to the fingertips, I want you to imagine you've got a sleeve on and you're just gonna swipe that sleeve off from top to bottom, and then give that arm a nice heavy shake. Good, and then we're gonna go over to the other side. So start all the way up here into the traps, shoulder, and coming all the way up, down, inside of the arm, bottom of the arm, fingertips, wrist. And then take that sleeve and just swipe it off nice and heavy, and then shake that arm out nice and heavy. Good. And then you're gonna grab your tennis ball. And I want you to come to any comfortable position here, and I want you to just start to create some friction between your hands. So think of this as warming up all the muscles of your hands, trying to get the outside of that pinky line, your thumb line, fingertips. And then in, again, any comfortable seat here, I want you to just take one hand and kind of roll out all the areas of the hand, front, back, into the floor. And then switch it over to the other side. So again, we're just getting all of this warmed up, so as we start to stretch and mobilize the wrist a little bit, we are coming from a really warm place that is already ready to move and go a little deeper into this work. Good, and go back into that friction one more time. Then what I want you to do is place your hand down on the floor and just rub this ball up and down all of your fingertips. And you can still practice your diaphragmatic breathing here. Always a good idea to stay into that low belly breath, turn off that fight or flight response, and then switch over to the other hand. So much of this wrist pain comes from just the tension that we tend to hold in our hands, our fingertips, our wrists, gripping in our neck and our shoulders. So we're gonna try to hit all of those places today for some release. Great. And then what I want you to do, just put that off to the side, clasp your hands in front of you, and I want you to just take your wrists through a figure 8 here. We're just gonna do this for about 30 seconds, trying to go through that full figure 8, really trying to mobilize the wrists here. If you have pain, scale back a little bit. And then what I want you to do is make sure your figure 8 goes the other direction. So there's gonna be a way that feels a little weird, a little less coordinated. It's okay. And then you're gonna take your hands and you're gonna switch so your opposite finger is in front. And this is gonna feel really weird. So you're gonna go back into that figure 8 pattern in one direction, Trying to really mobilize the wrist, and then switch, take that figure eight in the opposite direction. Just a few more seconds here. Then we're gonna head into a wrist stretch. So I want you to extend your arm out in front of you, fingertips facing down. You're gonna lightly pull those fingertips back towards you. If you're really hyperextended in that elbow and you see it kind of jutting up, just put a tiny bend in it. You're just gonna hold here and breathe. Nice big diaphragmatic breath. And then take your hand, flip it the opposite direction, and gently press those fingertips back towards your body in this way. Big breath in, big breath out. Staying on the same hand, take your thumbs up, and then just pull that thumb, bend at the elbow, pull that thumb back towards your body. And then we're gonna let that go, give your arm a little shake, and switch over to the other side. So you're gonna extend those fingertips down to the ground, lightly press back, watching for big hyperextension in that elbow. Big breath in, big breath out. And then switch, take your fingertips down, lightly pull back, hit the front of the wrist. Big breath in, big breath out. And then give me a thumbs up, pull that thumb back towards you and feel that stretch there. Big breath in and big breath out. And then I'm gonna come up onto my knees for this next one. I want you to either take your hands, flip your palms down in front of you, and bring them down to the tops of your thighs, or bring them down to the floor, just depending on your flexibility here. And then if this doesn't feel like a deep enough stretch, what you can do is try to pull your elbows, bend your elbows back towards your body. So you're either on the floor or you're here. This is a really deep stretch on those wrists here. Take a big breath in, big breath out. Good. So I want you to shake both of those hands out, and I want you to put your hands in front of you like a prayer position. Here, I want you to think of your scapular engagement. So your scaps are your shoulder blades, and I don't want you to squeeze your shoulder blades together nice and high. I want you to think of the middle to bottom of the scaps, just expanding and fanning down towards one another here. So instead of squeezing up here, getting tension into your neck and your traps, you're gonna drop this down. I like to also think of my armpits anchoring down to my hips. And I'm gonna keep this nice lowered activation on as I lift my hands up and then pull my hands back down. This is gonna feel like a little stretch on the wrists at the bottom. So coordinate this with your breath. We're gonna take this about 10 times. And doesn't matter here where you inhale, where you exhale, just stay connected to that low belly breath. You definitely don't want to be breathing up here for this because we're mobilizing those arms, we're getting those scaps engaged, so we don't want to put any extra tension into the upper body. Give me 3 more, 2, and 1. Take those arms out. I want you to flip your palms up. Cross your right over your left. You're just going to bring your arms towards one another, but I don't want you to crack or put a little kink in your wrist here. Try to keep your wrists nice and straight. Pull your shoulders down, open your chest. It's okay if those hands aren't lined up directly. Mine are a little separated from each other. And you're just feeling the stretch in the back of the shoulders. So again, try to keep a long neck. And shake that out. This time you're gonna take your hands out, flip your palms, put the opposite hand, this is my left hand, on top, and pull those around. So if you are familiar with yoga, this would be an eagle pose in the arms for yoga. And then pull those shoulders down, find those gaps mid-center of the back, trying to keep your neck nice and long, trying to keep tension out of flexion in the wrists here. Your wrists are nice and straight. And shake it out. We're gonna come down to our backs, and I want you to come down to the floor and start with those arms above your head. So imagine that someone's pulling you from your pinkies, and they're gonna lift your fingertips all the way up to the ceiling, and then I want you to drop your hands down, find that scapular engagement. So you're gonna inhale, lift, nice big reach up, and then exhale, find those scaps on the way down. Take this 2 more times. Inhale, reach, nice long energy out the fingertips. Exhale down, and 1 more. Inhale, and exhale. Good. I want you to just think about your scaps being engaged at your back. Your ribs are not splayed open at the front here. I want you to soften through the breastbone, soften through the bottom of the ribs, and then you're just gonna open your arms out into like a dancer, ballerina second position. Imagine you've got an imaginary ball in those hands and you're just gonna toss from right hand to left and right and to left. Now this might feel a little nervy. That's okay, this is actually called nerve flossing. So we're just trying to get some movement. If it's terribly uncomfortable, change. Maybe don't go into as deep a flexion with that toss. Maybe it's a little less. You're just gonna go from side to side. And then what you're gonna do is take your palms, flip them so they're facing down, and you're gonna take those balls, you're gonna hit the ball behind you, flip it over to the other side. Ball goes behind and behind and behind. Stick with that diaphragmatic breath. Ribs and belly expand, release on the inhale. Try to hold the release on the exhale as well. No need for deep core activation on these. Good, and then just take those arms and roll out your wrists a little bit. Good, all right, so we are going to come up to all fours. And we're gonna continue with a little bit of a stretch for the back of the shoulder. So from this all fours position, I want you to take an arm out to the side and you're just gonna thread it underneath and then hang out on the back of the shoulder here. Now, I don't want you to flex, have a lot of flexion. So you see it, my hands are kind of tented here, or you're welcome to come up onto your fists. And just take a few, let's say we're gonna take 2 really deep diaphragmatic breaths here. So inhale, fill ribs and belly. Exhale, I'm really trying to focus on that stretch that I feel at the back of that left shoulder blade that's on the floor, almost like you're trying to separate your shoulder blade from your back. Last breath. Good. And then I'm gonna give you my back side. We're gonna thread that arm through and take it over to this direction. So again, watch flexion, deep flexion in that wrist. If there's any strain or pain, you can tense, you can come up into a fist. And breathing, trying to find this stretch where you feel this separation here from the shoulder blades along the spine. We're gonna take one more breath here. Inhale and exhale. Good. And then come up. And then I'm gonna give you one more exercise to really focus on those scaps. A lot of the things that are causing that wrist pain are the new repetition of movement that we have with lifting baby, putting baby down. A lot of, if you're nursing, bottle feeding, or holding a baby, we tend to put our wrists in really awkward positions and hold it there for an extended period of time without even realizing it. So it's causing some of those carpal tunnel, wrist pain, stiffness symptoms to start to arise. So one thing that we can do to alleviate that is to make sure that we've got our scaps engaged and that you're moving your arms from the center of your back. We're not just relying on those wrists to take the weight, that we're actually thinking about lifting, holding from right here. So what I want you to do is get yourself against a wall. And you can do this kneeling or standing. I'm gonna turn my back to you for a second just to show you the setup, then I'll turn around to show you the exercise. But you're gonna line your arms up so your elbows are in a horizontal line with your shoulders. From here, we are gonna turn on our core breathing belly pump. So I want you to inhale, fill, relax the core, pelvic floor. Exhale, lift and engage your lower abdominals and your pelvic floor. And then find your scap activation right here in the center of your back. So imagine that your arms start here, and you are gonna, on your exhale, lift and lower those arms without making a rise and fall happen in the shoulders. So we inhale, fill, exhale, go into that deep core engagement, pull those armpits down towards your hips as you lift and lower. We're gonna take this about 10 times into the wall. So I'm gonna face you here. We're gonna take an inhale, exhale, lift the pelvic floor, wrap those core muscles, and then you hold that engagement as you lift and lower. Inhale, release, exhale. Moving those arms from the very center of your back. I want you to get used to that sensation of the arms start there. They don't start here. We're trying to take that strain out of the wrists. More scapular engagement is going to help you with all those exercises in your workout too. We're on hands and knees, which happens a lot because in postpartum we don't want to jump up right away. We do want to find that activation at a lower level first. So there do tend to be a lot of exercises that we do on all fours, which if you're having that wrist pain is impossible or feels really uncomfortable. We're going to take 2 more, engage the core. So I'm gonna show you that one for 1 second at the end of this workout. If you are heading into an air workout with an all fours position, you have a couple options here. One, you can pop yourself up onto your fists. Make sure, again, that you've got a good alignment from your wrists to your shoulders. You don't want to be out here or in too much of a deep flexion. And the other thing that you need to do is think about your scap engagement. So this is a lot of pressure on my wrists. I'm not thinking about my scaps a lot here. And if I think of dropping my armpits down to my hips, finding that middle of the back engagement, engaging the core, I just took a ton of pressure off of my wrists here. So it's the difference between here, really sinking down, I'm gonna exaggerate it a little bit, and then finding that scapular activation, turning on my core, and then my wrists are just positioned underneath me without too much pressure. So those are some things to think about as you go through your day. Think about the position that you're holding your wrists in, really try to get those scaps on, and then do some of these exercises and massages when you have a little bit more pain to try to give you some relief. Let me know if this helps.